Well, hello everyone. Welcome. It's Dr. Ariel, and I'm so excited to do a twist on my leadership lessons with a very interesting story, or should I say, a conversation that has been sparked around social media. And one that may be a little unlikely. Now, you all know I love to talk about things related to community and coaching and communication and leadership, right? So I've been taking some time to spend time with family and read and get into some new things. And I just happened to discover, as many of you probably have, the new Netflix series by Meghan Markle, or Duchess of Sussex. And this Netflix series has just given me life because it is all the things. However, this Netflix series, With Love, Megan is the name of it, has actually sparked endless debate. And so I want to talk a little bit about this series, the context of the series, but really a little bit more about Megan herself, or Duchess herself, and the ways in which we contextualize these experiences around what it means to be a woman and a woman in leadership. What are the lessons that we can learn from With Love, Megan? So let's jump into it. Feel free to like, subscribe, and share this video. You can follow me on all platforms: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, as well as TikTok. I always forget about TikTok. But my podcast, Affirmations of Excellence, I'll tag all of that stuff up here in the show notes or in the notes below, as well as up above. But let's jump into the discussion. I mean, if you have been, there's a lot of noise going on right now. There's a lot of conversation about a lot of different things in the world, especially in the US. But what I want to center today is this conversation, as we would have it, around this Netflix series. It's beautiful, from my view, Netflix series, With Love, Megan. Critics, the headlines, oh my goodness, are calling the show bland, excessive, and even meaningless. But let's be honest. Ultimately, what we are seeing here is a woman like Megan and women like her. The idea that we, and I include myself, are not supposed to be living out a joyful existence. If we kind of come up from the underbelly of what this conversation or what this criticism really means, and this is from my take, and I'm sure there are others who will agree with me, that Black women, and I want to center Black women, although leadership lessons are for every woman, but Black women in particular, no matter how accomplished we are constantly challenged when we choose ease over struggle, when we choose luxury over lack, and when we choose peace over performance. And I particularly relate to this series because it's very much season of life that I'm in. You see, Megan's journey, I mean, we can go all the way back to when she first started dating Harry. But Megan's journey was never about royalty, truly. It was never about the headlines. We essentially can see here a case study in leadership, or I can see, and I want to present it to you, a case study in leadership, a case study in resilience, and one also in self-definition. So I'm breaking down a few of the most powerful leadership lessons that I am taking away from Megan's story, particularly as we see it through her Netflix series, With Love, Megan. And I have seven. So be sure to watch until the end. There's also a very interesting article for this video on my LinkedIn profile, which is actually, it's a newsletter. Everyone Needs a Champion is the name of the newsletter. So feel free to look at the article as well and share it if you like. But let's jump into it. Listen, when you think about what it means to be a leader, and I just have some notes here because, of course, this is the work that I do, and so it resonated with me deeply. The first lesson I want to center here is what it means to own your own narrative. As women leaders, we often face scrutiny, and Megan teaches us not to let others define our story. You must take ownership of your own narrative. The criticisms of her lifestyle, her home, her ingredients that she's using in the show, it is a reminder that even when we exist in spaces of elegance, our presence rather, is questioned. Even when you see, I'm fond of Threads right now, and I'm enjoying Threads, an alternative to X or formerly Twitter. And we see a huge conversation there that has been sparked by Black women, not just there, but online in general, who have quickly countered the narrative that particularly women and women of color, Black women especially, or particularly, should not be owning their narrative or living in spaces of excellence and things of that nature. However, we quickly countered that narrative, which is one that is absolutely not true, by showing off our Le Creuset and stop sets, right? Our Dutch ovens, our knife sets, our glassware, all of our cookware, our gourmet recipes, our floral design tips, and all the things that have been a part of womanhood from the beginning of age. It's just that these narratives around who Black women are and how we show up and how we live and move throughout the world is always kind of debatable, right? Because none of us are a monolith. And so this wasn't about being out of touch the way that I believe Meghan's show is portrayed. This isn't about being out of touch. It is, for many of us as women, Black women, it is a cultural reality that many of us actually grew up with fine things, or we have evolved as women and adopted and included fine things into our lifestyle, whether it is through the access of that thing or those things, or it's the aspiration of those things. So, lesson one, own your narrative. Your success and refinement does not need validation. Hear me. Your success and your refinement as a woman does not need validation. Own your own story. Lesson number two, lead with purpose and service. Something that I always admire about Meghan and any woman in particular who has this kind of profile, is her philanthropic work and her advocacy. I saw on LinkedIn recently where there was a Black woman, PhD, who is a leading voice in AI, and how Meghan and Harry's nonprofit organization gave her an award and a grant. I mean, it was a phenomenal story. I can't think of her name right now. I think it's Dr. Joy, if I'm not mistaken. Salute to her, because she also comes from the ranks of myself, Black women, professors, educators, doctoral degree holders, etc. But here's what's important about lesson number two, leading with purpose and service. True leadership isn't about titles, it's about impact. And Meghan's dedication to service reminds us that our leadership should uplift others. And I loved seeing, I think this was last year when the award was given, I loved seeing her and Harry interacting with the sister who had done this work, groundbreaking work in the space of AI and in education. I love how Meghan often acknowledges her mother, a Black woman, her grandmother, a Black woman, and the strong women in her life in general, regardless of their race, of course, who have shaped her values. This mirrors how many Black women grew up with aunties and church ladies, church sisters, and community elders who were teaching us the value of fresh flowers and homegrown herbs and fresh ingredients and just gracious hospitality. So, leading with purpose and service. Key takeaway here for lesson number two, lead in a way that honors those who paved the way for you. Lesson number two, I think, in leadership that we can take from With Love, Meghan, the Netflix series, is setting your boundaries and protecting your peace, or setting your boundaries so that you can protect your peace. We all followed the story of Meghan and Harry, and we saw how they stepped back from their royal duties and under tremendous amount of pressure to add. But leadership comes with pressure. We know that. However, you do not have to sacrifice your well-being. Meghan's decision to prioritize her mental health is a reminder that saying no is a power move. No is a word, and using it and activating it is a power move. Many criticized her for being too much in this series, and even prior to that. So the criticism has kind of carried throughout her public persona in coming into the royal family. However, this same criticism is the kind of criticism that Black women face when we refuse to shrink. I mean, let's just be honest. When we refuse to shrink, this is the kind of criticism that we carry or that we attract, right? So set your boundaries so that you can protect your peace. Key takeaway: setting boundaries isn't selfish, it is self preservation. All right, lesson four. Did I say four? Four. Lesson four. Be unapologetically yourself. One thing I love about Meghan is her confidence and her authenticity, and even sometimes a little bit of a quirkiness to her. I love it. So, from Hollywood to the royal family, whatever space she's in, it is clear that she is attempting in every way to stay true to her values. And I think that's important because let's be real, she's not the first Black woman to show the world that elegance and luxury are just a simple part of our culture. Before her, and many of you all may remember, there was B. Smith, the iconic Black entrepreneur, restaurateur, lifestyle expert who set the standard for grace and refinement. So these things are critical to remember that Meghan isn't the first, right? She's just the first to be on a global scale in a way where we see her. And also, there's a sister, I can't think of her name right now, the Homegrown series. She's out of Atlanta. I think I referenced her in the article on LinkedIn. Go check out the article. But anyway, there's so many women who have been leading and in setting the standard for grace and refinement as an example on media platforms for us. Not as much as say or as big as say a Martha Stewart or others or other women who we see on various channels and TV shows and platforms, but it doesn't mean that we're not here. And each of these women, all of these women represent an opportunity for us to be unapologetically ourselves. So while the conversation around Meghan's home and her high-end ingredients and her beautifully curated life may not feel familiar to some, it feels very familiar and even aspirational to others of us, to the degree that it's questioning, why do we have to justify our success when we are being unapologetically and authentically who you are? Key takeaway from lesson four: confidence comes from authenticity. Own who you are. All right, leadership lesson number 5 that we can take away from With Love Meghan is using your platform to elevate others. I love the guests that she brings on the show. And I love the choices that are made about who she's bringing on the show. She's not just bringing celebrity friends. She's bringing people who have a unique contribution to the culture that she's connected to or the relationships that she has. And they have diverse backgrounds themselves. Good leaders don't just rise, right? They lift others along the way. And so Meghan is using this series as a platform to elevate the voices that matter to her and show their value to others. And she's not alone. So we've seen so many people that she's brought to the platform. I love the episode where she brought the LA-based chef who was born and raised in LA like she was to the show. Asian man, can't think of his name. I wish I had to put his name down, but he was phenomenal. I can't wait to go back to LA and go to one of his restaurants. But that bond that they portrayed in the episode where he was on, I think they made kimchi, and it was just a really unique experience. And they both were talking about how much they love LA and what they appreciated about growing up in LA, right? And having those, being deeply influenced by the cultural roots in that area. And I mean, it's just beautiful because what we do as women, we understand that we have to, when we have a platform, a leadership platform, we understand that success is communal. It's not just personal, it's not individual, it is collective. It is focused on how we elevate others. Key takeaway from lesson 5: use your platform to create opportunities for others. All right, lesson 6 that we take away from in leadership, that we take away from With Love Meghan, the Netflix series, is standing firm in the face of criticism. Criticism is inevitable. I have had my fair share and I know what it feels like. But how you respond defines you. When tabloids accuse Meghan of destroying, reputation or being out of touch or, taking something from the store and repurposing it, and she wasn't presenting it as she made it. from scratch. We know that. We do that often. Any human being will do that if they're hosting, right? There's something, there's something that you did not make from scratch that you're going to buy from the store, unpack the bag or unpack the box and serve it to your guests, right? Neither here nor there. Um, Even the criticism around her taking fresh edible flowers and using it to decorate, some of her food, just things of that nature. When those things were, those accusations and criticism came out, Black women online came to her defense. Why? Because we've seen this before. Last year, was it last year? I think it was 2023. I did a webinar for the National Urban League Digital Success Series with Dr. Vadette Coleman and Kenneth Johnson, and it was for Women's History Month, March of 23, if I'm not mistaken, about the pressure of Black exceptionalism and how there is no room for nuance as you show up as a Black woman. And we unpacked in that series, I'll make sure I link it. We unpacked in that series how Black women are often held to these impossible standards, ones that are really rooted in comparison to white norms. So Meghan, a biracial American woman with a Black mother, of course, has faced these comparisons firsthand since becoming Duchess. So the lesson here, you don't need to perform for acceptance. Key takeaway, stand in your truth and do not apologize for your success. All right, lesson 7 that we can take away from a leadership perspective about With Love, Meghan, the Netflix series. Keep reinventing yourself. Great leaders never stop growing. Meghan has continued to evolve in so many ways and showing us that reinvention is a part of success. She's beaming when she speaks about Harry and the babies, and showing that leadership isn't just about her career. It's about love and family and fulfillment. And so she proves this on this series, that we get to define success on our own terms and that we can reinvent ourselves. Key takeaway, don't be afraid to pivot. Your greatness is built in seasons. Right? It's not an overnight process. Greatness is built in seasons. So as you release the fear to pivot, you realize that reinvention is what allows you to evolve and really make significant impact. All right, I have one I'm going to give. This is not one of the 7, but I guess let's just say it's a final thought. All right. I want to lead in with this from a perspective of, I want to leave with this from a perspective of agency, what it means for a woman to have agency. And the final thought is this: you don't have to justify a life well lived. The criticism of With Love, Meghan reveals something bigger. Many still struggle with seeing a Black woman live a life of ease, refinement, and influence without needing to explain herself. But the truth is, we don't need permission. We never needed it. And there's no need to ask or to get approval for embracing the fullness of who we are. We are allowed to enjoy luxury and create beauty and walk confidently in our purpose without apology. This is the real lesson. Live well because you deserve it. You are enough. Your joy, your success, and your refinement never needed and never will need justification. All right, everybody. Thank you. I'm grateful that you have joined me for this quick leadership video. Specifically, I think I'm gonna add this to the series, but I just thought that Meghan Markle's journey, or Duchess, her journey is filled with lessons in leadership and grace and resilience. I'm curious to know what stood out most to you. Feel free to keep the conversation going and drop a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe for more leadership insights. Thank you so much. I'm Dr. Ariel, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.